It's 2022 and I'm going to take you through a detailed walkthrough of my fishing kayak, both my upgrades and my DIY modifications. And not only that, I'm going to also show you what gear, what tackle, what rods I take with me when I'm out in the water. So we are going to be putting all of this onto my Native Slayer Propel 10. Now don't worry, if you don't have a Native Slayer Propel 10, the modifications, the upgrades I have are good for just about any kayak out there. So stick around and let's hop in. Probably see already, these are not standard with the Native Slayer Propel 10. And so these are actually 3D printed seat risers, which are pretty awesome. I got them off on Facebook. A guy called 3D Yak does a great job, so I highly recommend those. I'll put the link in the description below. But this gets my seat up off just a few more inches, which is nice because I actually have an upgrade in which I will put a extra storage underneath the seat. So I'll show you that in just a moment. The seat is set. Now we're gonna hop over here and grab a DIY modification that I built. This is a kayak crate with 6 rod holders. And what we'll do is actually bungee this down through these little knobbers here. We'll run the bungee cord. If you don't have bungee cord, you can go and grab that at the local hardware store. They sell it by the foot, which is nice. And you run it back and forth. So if you ever tip your kayak, it's not coming off. Also, you can see here, the way I built this is there's screws through here. And so if you like your rod holder straight up and down, you can do that. I actually like them fanned out a little bit so they don't get caught. And also what you'll see here, if you fish rough waters, these are little bungees, so you can get onto your rod. So if you ever tip your boat, then you won't lose all of your gear. So we got a little lock right here, so it's not going to come off. And then you got this bungee mesh here, so you can put your hat or your scale or your lunch or whatever it is under here. This thing is awesome. It's not that expensive and it's not that difficult to create. I actually created a video to show you how to do that. You can check that out right there if you want to build one of these for yourself. I think it cost me around 25 bucks to do that, and man, they are awesome. Here's the bungee I was talking about. It's about 7 feet long. Start off tying a knot through here and just run it through once and I'll catch. Just run it back and forth. All right, now that we have that all bungee down, we're good to go with the crate. Next, we're gonna install the Yak Attack Pro Mega rod holders. Make sure you get the Pro Mega because there's 2 points of adjustment on the Pro Yak Attack Pro Mega rod holders, and these things are absolutely awesome. So when you receive these, it basically comes with this. Now be prepared for a little sticker shock because these things are around, last time I checked, around $40 each, and 2 of them are in $80. But these are really well made, very heavy duty, and so all you do is if you have a track mount, it takes a little track mount adapter, stick it on the track mount and you tighten it with your hand. And then all you need to do now, these have little rivets on it. Once you put it in the socket there, you can actually change where you want that, and it'll help wherever you want your rod. You want to stick it way out here on the side, you want it out. So I use these often for trolling, and that's why I love them so much. Another good thing about this is once you lock it in here, click, it's not coming out. I've actually caught the bottom of the lake before, and these things tug and they will not break. So very heavy duty. It's going to be worth your investment for sure. Also a great thing about the Mega Pro, like I said, 2 points that you can adjust. So you just twist these a little bit, and then you can go down, down, up. You can do the same thing over here. Now you can buy the Yak Attack rod holders with just 1 single point, but I recommend just investing the extra $10 so you have a little bit more options here when it comes to where you want your rod angled at. So highly recommended for trolling. What I love about this is whenever I'm trolling with these, a lot of times when you're kayak fishing, you just can't crank up the motor and take off and in 5 minutes be your next spot. So a lot of times what I'll do, if I need a little break, I'll put 2 rods in here, a couple crankbaits, and you'd be surprised how many bass and crappie, even catfish I pick up through trolling from spot to spot. All right, let's move on to the next thing. All right, I have a Native Slayer Propel 10, and the Propel means it's a pedal drive. So let's go ahead and stick this bad boy in there. Slides in nicely, lock it in. Won't come out. All right, and this is really simple. These things are really neat if you haven't had a pedal drive before. All you do is unstrap your bungee here, lift it up, and then this goes down into the water, and then you lock it in. And man, that's how you get from place to place. right there. So there's a couple modifications you can do here. I actually have a weed guard that I installed right here. It looks like it's 3D printed as well. So you can order those. I'll try to put a link in the description below. And there's another upgrade you can do to this. And it's a really simple upgrade. If you buy this stock, it actually comes with plastic pedals, which I'm not a big fan of. So I just upgraded these to aluminum mountain bike pedals. They're solid, I don't slip anymore, and these things, I think they look super nice. So big fan of these. I got a link in the description below. I can't forget my RAM phone mount with all the kinds of articulating mount as well, which is really awesome. So I'll stick my phone in here, and as you can see, loosen it up, kind of wherever you want it, whatever angle you want it, and this grabs onto your phone, which is super nice. And then it's right there, front and center when you're fishing, if you get a message, you're talking with someone, you're on video with someone. These are awesome. Great thing about the Pro Drive, you can actually buy a mount that sticks right into the top, made for something just like this. I've seen guys also put their fish finders up here, but I have my fish finder down on the side. We'll get to that in just a second. Next, we have the native tool holder. This might not look like a whole lot, but man, this thing is super convenient. And it goes right here. Really easy to install. I kick this down here out of my way, down by my legs. It never really gets in my way. This is where I keep all the stuff I use all the time. So let me show you some of the things. Grab a handful. Pliers, scissors, wacky rig tool. Almost forgot. What I'll do, as you can see with these boom pliers here, aluminum pliers, great pliers. So highly recommend these. If you don't have a pair of nice aluminum pliers, not needle nose work pliers, I mean fishing pliers, this is the way to go. And the great thing about these booms, it comes with a sheath, and it actually has a rivet here. And so what I'll do is unscrew this and just add this as a layer on top of it, right in here. And it's leashed, as you can see here. And then I constantly come down here reaching, pulling it up, getting the hook out of the fish mouth if it's buried, sticking them back in there. Also, of course, got my scissors, wacky tools. Sometimes I keep in here, sometimes I keep them under the seat storage. All right, this one's one of my favorite upgrades, and it is this guy right here. Called a Craftsman Versastack, and it goes right under your seat. This is why you're going to need your seat risers, your 3D printed seat risers. So let me go ahead and install this. Now I'm having a hard time finding the link for these guys, and so but DeWalt makes one that looks just like it and will fit right under your seat as well. So I'll have the link in the description below. And talk about easy accessibility, just reaching right under here. Look at all that storage space. Got 9 compartments here, and you got 2 of them. I'll show you what I keep in these in just a moment, but man, it is so nice having these right below you. Next, we have the DIY boom mount. Now, I actually created this guy right here. They're like $100 or so if you go look online. So I also wanted one I can use with my family when I go into family outings, and so I created this guy as kind of a DIY modification. Let me tell you a little bit about it. And it's telescopic too, so you can send this thing way out here if you want. Another thing I have for this, because it's up over your shoulder, you don't have to like get out of your kayak, try to get it while it's way back here and try to change out batteries all the time. So what I did is I ran all day power. As you see down here, I have a power bank, DB power. This thing's awesome, has a ton of power on it. It actually will charge your car as well. And so this definitely lasts me all day. I have a Type-C cable that I run out to the side, and then you can just wrap this around all the way and extend it up. And as you can see, the Type-C just fits right here. So you will have all day power for your GoPro on your DIY GoPro boom mount. So highly recommend that. Don't buy a ton of batteries, just buy some power banks. All right, she's starting to come together. The next upgrade is pretty important, although it's not extremely attractive. So this is your steering mechanism. If I turn this back and forth, this is what you get back here. And a lot of times, what you're looking at here is a Burley Pro upgrade. This is Dyneema cord, which I highly recommend. They come stock with metal, so you can upgrade this for, man, they're kind of expensive and it's kind of a pain in the butt to run, but nonetheless, highly recommend upgrading if you have a kayak like this. So Dyneema cord stuff lasts for a long time. I've had this for a couple seasons with no issue at all. Next, I'm going to show you kind of your power source for all this. Let's grab the batteries I use. You just grab these off Amazon. As you can see here, it's a 12 volt 12 amp hour. The higher the amp hour, the more expensive the battery is going to be. However, the longer it'll last you out there on the water. But this seems to do me just fine when I'm out for 6-7 hours out in the water. This is how I run my fish finder. It's how I run my lights, which is going to be the next DIY upgrade that I'm going to show you here in just a second. So basically put this down in the hull, attach the terminals, voila. I ran all the wiring and I installed this flicker switch. Boom. Now as you see, I got this side, I got them running on this side, and also I'm got on the inside of the boat. Now here's the thing, if I were to do it again, I would actually have either just remove the lights from the inside of the boat and I just leave them on the outside of the boat, or I create 2 toggle switches. One that would be for the inside and outside. And the reason why is when you're out there in the water and it's nothing but pitch black outside, the lights on the inside of the boat are a little overwhelming and they're not really even that necessary. I usually use the lights a lot of times when I get to my spot really early and I can't see because it's still dark in the morning. Not necessarily when I'm out in the water, but I have used these when I'm out in the water, and man, it's crazy. You can see the bass come up and smashing it. A lot of the bait fish are attracted to the green light. That's why I chose green. And so if you're gonna get that, get the green light. Or get the kind that you can change colors on. But now this particular kayak is around 65 pounds without all the upgrades, and so it starts to get really heavy and very difficult to move around if you're pond hopping and moving in and out of your trailer all the time. And so instead of dragging this along the concrete, and believe it, I've seen people do it, which just drives me absolutely crazy, you're gonna need some type of landing gear. I recommend the Native Watercraft landing gear. Here are the wheels for it, and they're really easy to install. You basically just run this mounting bracket onto your track mounts, and then this just sticks in here like so. And so I have them way back here. Now granted, when you stick them further back, it's a lot more weight on them. I've actually seen reviews of these ripping out of the plastic, but I haven't any issues with that. I actually might move it back up in front of the kayak crate, move this back, but we'll see. The reason I like it back here because it acts as a bumper if I ever bump into like a dock or anything. And also, as you can see here, we'll get to this in a second, I don't want to break this off, so having a bumper is really kind of nice. And then of course, when you're getting ready to drag these into the water, you just move it down like so. And there's a lot of DIY options out there, but man, the rubber wheels are awesome. And I just, man, if you're gonna invest in a couple thousand into a boat, spend a couple extra $100 taking care of getting it to and from the water. Another simple little upgrade you can do is just put a little tow rope in here, as you can see here. I always have this. Sometimes I forget something and I need to tie off my boat instead of like running really fast and hoping it doesn't float away. Just quickly tie that off. Usually you can find a really easy place to put that. And I always leave that here, right in here in the front. Next little upgrade here is the behind the seat backpack. And man, you can buy these things from Native that kind of fit nicely behind here, but man, you can go to Walmart and get one of these for 20 bucks, or go to Amazon and get a mole bag for really inexpensive for like $30-40. And I highly recommend a behind the seat backpack because you don't have a lot of storage space, a lot of real estate here on your fishing kayak. So having something back here that you can fit a ton of stuff, and I'll share all the things that I put back here, is highly beneficial. All right, there we are, strapped in. Got this nice and tight. Really nice, highly recommend one of these guys. Fits nicely behind there, and I know I carry a small net sometimes, and also fit, well, I'll get there in a second. Next is this guy. Now, I'll tell you what, I would not go through the hassle of buying a really nice kayak and going out in the water without one of these guys. Fish finder. This is a Garmin Striker 4. It's an entry-level fish finder. And man, it's just not worth going out there not knowing if there's fish under you, not knowing the depth under you, not knowing how fast you're going, especially for trolling. And so, and there's a lot of fish finders out there that can get really, really expensive. This one's around $100, $115, depending on what kind of deal you can get on Amazon. And I'm gonna get this hooked up, show you what it looks like. But this is really nice. It just clips in here, just like that. Got my power, and then I got my transducer. As you can see here, a nice point of view right towards your fish finder. You can see I have the wires kind of wrapped down here in the T-mount, so it's nice and clean. And which brings me to my next upgrade, which is the Yak Attack Switchblade, which is basically a transducer arm. And here's the thing. I am not a huge fan of the Switchblade. I don't think it necessarily needs to be here. You can go ahead and stick this up really nicely if you get into some weeds or getting ready to pull your boat out. Put it back down when you're in the water. kind of moves. You hit something, it'll kind of fly back here. And I'm just not a huge fan. As you can see here, if you don't tighten it correctly, it'll crack. And I didn't tighten it correctly, and it cracked. What I'm gonna try for the next upcoming season is, I heard you can take these transducers right here, this guy, and stick it in putty and stick it at the bottom of the hole, and you won't have any issues. So what I'm probably gonna do is do a video of that here in the upcoming weeks. So hit that sub and bell notification and you'll get notified when that video goes live. All right, let's keep on moving along. All right, next one's kind of fun. I noticed when I got the kayak, you got this rudder right here, but it wasn't turning as fast as I'd like it to turn. So what I ended up doing is putting a little extension on here. A lot of different ways to do that. You can get some plexiglass, got some bolts, kind of just shove that in there, and it's worked like a charm. And it turns a lot faster. It's really nice. The thing you gotta be careful about is whenever you're moving it around outside of the water so you don't snap this off. There are some other options, and I have a feeling I'll probably purchase them. Boondocks makes a metal rudder, which I like, and so until this breaks, I probably won't invest in a Boondocks, but I have a feeling that this will break because it's plastic. And it's just a matter of time before I accidentally snap that off. And next we got a DIY keel guard. There you go, guys. This is pretty awesome. This is one of my recents here. That's why you see the silicone looks fairly new. But I was getting a lot of deep gashes in here. And so what this is, and I did a video for it, you can check that out up here. You can probably click that in the cards as well. This is Kdex. Kdex is awesome because it's got a Rockwell hardness of 9. And once you heat it up, it's very malleable. So you can kind of mold it to the hull of your kayak, and it's actually pretty inexpensive. You get a sheet of this stuff or a couple sheets for like 10 bucks. And so I actually did a video. You can check that out here in a little bit. But as you can see, I not only have one in the front, but I also got one in the back because I'm getting some scuffs here. And so you just mold it. I molded it around this back part here, and just reinforce the back of my boat, which I'm pretty excited about. So to be fair, I had a guy ask me on my channel, hey, did it hold up? Well, I've only had it out a few times, and I don't feel comfortable doing a video if it held up until I actually use it for an entire season. But there's a lot of other videos out there as well. It says Kdex is the way to go. I've seen people use Gorilla Tape. Seriously? Not gonna work for you folks. There's a lot of other cheap ways, but this is probably the cheapest. And what you get is a really high quality keel guard that's gonna protect your kayak so you have it for years to come. All right, next I have my paddle here. And the reality is I didn't invest a whole lot of money into my paddle. I don't need a really expensive one because I got a pedal drive. So I really only break this out when I get caught in the weeds. And this one's just really cheap. It's an Intex one. I think I got it for $30. I'll put the link on there. So nothing crazy here. If I didn't have a pedal drive, I would probably invest in a paddle around the $60 to $100 range. Make sure it's a sturdy shaft. It makes a whole lot of difference when you're paddling through the water. You don't want this to give a whole lot. And so this is very economical and it's just what I need, but you may have different uses for it. So you might want to invest a little bit more in the paddle. Another thing I always keep in my kayak is a sponge. Get water either here at the bottom down by your scupper plugs or in your under your hatch down there. And it's always nice to be able to take this and really easily just soak it up, get it out of there. All right, since you have to have a life jacket, I recommend the Ison 33A low profile. I know this is personal preference, but I did a survey on my channel not too long ago, and I see that around 70–80% of the people like the low profile version. Anyway, I did a review on this. I'll throw it up in the cards. You can check it out on my channel. But these, how they work is if you are fully submerged, they will explode and keep your head above water. Also, if you want to manually inflate it, you just tug on this and it goes poof as well. And so what I like about this, it's got some neoprene back here, and since I fish in the middle of summer, I don't want something bulky on me. I don't need the extra storage like a lot of the traditional life vests have. I got that underneath my seat. And the beauty about it being low profile is that you can kind of fold it up nicely, and I usually stick it right behind my behind the seat backpack. All right, for those of you who like to fish and also tape this, if you got a channel of your own, you might be interested in a chesty, which I have right here. It's the same top, and I actually created a video of how to make this into all-day power. As you can see, here's the battery on there. So I'll throw that up in the cards, or if I am using too many cards, you can just check that out on my channel. Something else I always have in my kayak is a safety horn. These things are really cheap and they make a really loud noise. If you're in trouble out there, good to go. Something else I always keep in here is tools that you will need out on the water. I don't need a ton, but I also always need some type of screwdriver so I can get down here. As you can see, all these are Phillips. Oh, that one's not even tight. So I usually go through a couple times a year and make sure the Phillips are all tightened up. And this one's super key. Always have a hex wrench, because this sometimes will, after using it for a long time, will start to squeak. So I always have this. So regardless of what it is, make sure you have all the tools that you'll need so you don't ruin a day of fishing out in the water. So always have those in your kayak crate. All right, next thing I have, I don't actually carry a net. I just not a lot of real estate on my kayak, so I don't want to use it by having a big bulky net. I always get my hooks caught in the net, and I just don't want it on my kayak. So I carry fish grips instead. I recommend the fish grip. These things are awesome. They float, which is nice. And a lot of times how I utilize these is if I catch a big fish and I'm trying to get a picture of it, and I don't want it laying in the bottom of my kayak flopping around, I actually lip hook it, and I'll put it back in the water, and I put it on a DIY kayak leash. This is another upgrade. I have another video of these. These are really easy to make for about 50 cents, 25 cents, and a trip to the thrift shop. You can make your high quality DIY kayak leashes for your kayak. You can put them on your paddles, your pliers, whatever it is you want to put them on. So these are awesome. Just hook them to your kayak. And the beauty of it, although they float, you don't want to not know that you lost them accidentally. And so being that they got the leash on them, you're good to go. You're never going to lose your fish grips. A lot of things that I like to leash, and I haven't done it yet, are like scissors, and I have toenail clippers. A lot of times I'll Velcro to my kayak and have them leashed out. I don't like these particular leashes. You can buy them at Walmart, but here's the thing, once you stretch them out, they stay stretched out. So I prefer the ones that I made. I just need to make a few more of them. And next we have the tackle boxes that I carry with me. These are the Plano Edge Series 3600. I like this size because it fits nicely. Boom, right in your kayak crate. Fits perfectly in there. So make sure you get the Plano Edge 3600 series. I got my poppers here. I got my frog assortment here, and I have my crankbaits here. And so don't take up a lot of room here, kind of fit them nicely. I actually did a review of the Plano Edge 3600s. I'll throw those up in the cards. You can check it out on my channel, wendellfishing.com. So these things are pretty great. A lot of pros to them, some cons to them as well. So you can check those out in the review. I also have a knife on board, pretty big knife on board. I just kind of shove it in here. It's really easy to just reach behind me and grab it. A couple other things I carry with you in the hatch. I put some toilet paper in a bag. I'd also carry some extra clothes in a bag in case you fall in, get wet, it's cold outside, so you don't ruin your day out in the water. Always have those available to you. I also highly recommend always having a rain jacket on hand, whether you keep it in your car or keep it in your behind the seat backpack. It's nice to have one, especially with a hood. So this is a Gore-Tex one from Merrell. I don't even know, I've had this thing for so long and it's held up very well. So always nice to have one of these out in the water. Next, let's take a look of what rods I take out there on the water. So let's grab all the ones that I use. 2, 3. All right, that's all for now. I carry 6 rods with me. 1, because I really just hate changing out lures. And also, if you fish a lot, you're gonna use different rods, different types of lures, different types of line with those lures. And you don't want to have to, if you just carry one thing, that probably means you're just fishing one thing. And so I carry 6 different rods. I troll with them. I got bait casters, I got spinning reels. The thing that I'm always gonna have hooked up is this guy right here. Is the wacky worm. Typically it's gonna be a 1 hook, 5-inch Senko hook for this hook through the center, and either a 8 to 10 pound fluoro or some type of 10-pound braid. And that's how I'm going to catch the majority of my bass out there in the water. It's the easiest way to catch a bass consistently, and I've caught my personal best with the wacky worm style, and I have a video of how to use the wacky worm. And just because you set it up like this and throw it in the water, there's a lot of nuances to working that in the retrieve. And so learn that. I got a video on that, the easiest way to catch a bass, and I'll throw that up in the card so you can check it out. All right, moving on. As you see here, I have another articulating GoPro mount that kind of is pointed towards me. So I just got this recently, which I'm pretty excited about. There's a little track mount up here. Sometimes you'll find these. If not, you can buy the track mount and install them to any kayak, which I'm doing to this one, which I found in an Ohio River tributary. So I'm tricking that one out to making a fishing kayak. So if you don't have this track mount, not a big deal. You can buy them for like 10 bucks. They make them metal, they make them polymer. All right, what else do we got over here? Oh yeah, so I'm always gonna have some, my favorite is VMC, the wacky weedless. And then we got some standout. These are for drop shots. I'm also going to keep a lot of my terminal tackle, and I like these waterproof stowaways from Plano, the Guide series. They're actually super waterproof, and if you put a lot of hooks in here and shake it up, they're not going to jump from compartment to compartment, because the lid comes down on the dividers really nicely. Oh look, Still have a bunch of room in here. And every once in a while, I'll just keep this. This is a GoPro head mount. A lot of other things that I keep in the underseat storage here. I'm gonna have my fishing scale. A lot of times I'll bring a fishing magnet in case I drop a pole in the water. I'll keep that in my backpack as well. Fish marker buoy. I lost my old marker buoy, so I'm gonna be creating a DIY marker buoy. I went to Walmart and I saw 2 of them, like $18. Like, I can make one of these, and they're really inexpensive. So I'm gonna show you how to do it. Hit that sub and bell, and you'll get that video in a couple weeks. A couple other things I'm not gonna leave you home without is some insect repellent. I usually just throw that in my kayak crate. And another thing I'll do is I'll take one of my DIY kayak leashes and I'll put an old towel on here and basically just attach it here. So, and I'll shove the towel right down in here. And it's always nice to be able to wipe off your hands. You start catching those fish, they get really slimy. Hey guys and gals, if you liked what you saw, please hit that sub and bell and like button, and I will keep them coming. All right guys, thanks, see ya, bye.